America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, look, this Wednesday, welcome everybody this Wednesday. Look, I've been screaming this from the mountaintops for about 6-7 years or more. No, longer than that. I was saying this back when I was on the other team, when I was a Republican before I voted for Trump. I've been saying this same thing for the entire Trump era. We're living in a populist moment. We are, not just America, but here in America, because I want to focus on America, we've been living in a populist moment in America for years. I'd argue 15 to 20 years. I come from the Tea Party. The Tea Party was a populist movement. We are living in a populist moment. We've been living in a populist moment for many years. The Democratic Party, my new political party as of the past month, has not recognized this moment. Republicans have. Oh man, have they recognized it? Have they jumped all over it? Have they bastardized it? Have they turned it into something bad and cruel and mean-spirited and un-American? But the Republican Party, Trump's party, has recognized this populist moment that we're in. And by the way, TikTok, when I say populist moment, this is all I mean. We're living in one of these periods where average, regular people, white, black, and brown, are pissed off, angry, fed up, scared, concerned about a political system they no longer believe meets their needs. So populism, populist, what do I mean? The average American's pissed off at his or her government, pissed off at our political system. That's what I mean by a populist moment. And again, the Democrats haven't recognized this moment we're in. The Republicans have. The Republicans in 2016, dang, they nominated a populist. Do you remember that stage in 2016? Remember the 2016 Republican primary? You had Trump, but you also had Jeb. You had Marco, you had Rand Paul. You had like 95 Republicans running for president, running for the Republic. Ted Cruz running, Scott Walker, remember him, former Wisconsin governor. You had a gazillion Republicans all running in 2016 for the Republican nomination, and damn near all of them did not recognize the moment we're in. They didn't recognize the anger the average person has in America right now, except for Trump. Trump won in 2016. He won the Republican nomination because he recognized the anger. He recognized the populist fervor that average, regular Americans have out there. He recognized it. He tapped into it. Man, he festered it. He grew it. He got elected. Trump did in 2016 because he was a populist. Now, a fake populist, an evil populist, There are people who believe in general populism is a bad thing. I don't. I believe there are good populists and bad populists. Trump is a bad populist. Trump takes this legitimate anger that regular folks have, and Trump uses it to further divide us. Trump tries to grow the anger and grow the fear because Trump wants to burn everything down. He's an evil populist. He's a demagogue. He lies, right? He lies every time he opens his mouth to piss people off. He wants to grow. He wants to inflame the anger. He's a bad, evil populist. Always has been, always will be. He's a fake populist. But he's given the illusion to his voters that he's a populist. But here's the thing, Democrats, to my new political party Democrats, you ain't never recognized this moment. From that beginning, that 2016 election, when I think when most Americans recognized that we're in a populist moment, average people are pissed off. Man, they're pissed off at establishment politicians, right? They're pissed off at our political system. Man, they want to shake shit up. They want an outsider. They want somebody different. They want straight talk. They want blah, 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 right? Get all of that. And what did Democrats do in 2016? They gave us Hillary Clinton. They nominated Hillary Clinton, the poster child for the political establishment. Because Democrats didn't recognize the moment there that we're in. They didn't in 2016 recognize the anger. By the way, the legitimate anger that a lot of folks have, that most average, regular Americans, working class Americans, left, right, and middle have at a political system they believe has let them down, no longer listens to them. I'd argue till I'm blue in the face. A lot of this anger is legit. I'm a populist. These were my voters. I'm a populist. And son of a gun, Trump got elected president in 2016, right? He tapped into the populism, fake populist, bad populist, evil populist, but he ran against the antithesis of a populist. He ran against long-time establishment politician Hillary Clinton. Democrats utterly clueless, didn't understand how they lost to Trump in 2016. And by the way, I still say this because I still believe it. Democrats blew it. If Democrats had understood this populist moment back in 2016, they would have nominated Bernie Sanders. And I still believe Bernie Sanders would have beaten Trump in 2016. Bernie Sanders, not my politics, but Bernie's a populist. Bernie's an outsider. Bernie still isn't a Democrat. He's an independent. Bernie was a populist, is a populist. But the Democrats gave the back of their hand to Bernie Sanders and set it up so Hillary could be their nominee, and Hillary got swamped by Trump. Because we've been living in this moment of legitimate anger and fear and concern, fed upness that most Americans have, and Democrats have not ever recognized this moment. Well, you know what? Last night in New York City, they did. Last night, here we are. What year is it? 2015, 2025. We're in June of 2025. Think about this. Trump came down that escalator. Remember when he first announced his run for president? He came down that escalator in 2015 and he said, I'm going to build a wall. I'm going to keep brown and black people out and Mexico's going to pay for that wall. That was only 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Trump started to run in the summer of 2015. 10 years later, last night, the Democratic Party nominated a 33-year-old socialist who's also anti-Israel. A complete outsider. A populist on the left. No matter what you think of Zoran Mamdani, he is a populist. He recognizes the anger, the concern, and the fear that Americans have, and he addressed it. He tapped into it. He talked about solutions to the anger and the frustration and the concern and the fear voters have. And he offered solutions, plenty of solutions that I don't support. That's not the point here. The point is, last night in New York City, man, the Democratic Party said fuck no to their establishment. And they said, we want that. We want an utter outsider. I don't care if he's 33 years old. I don't care if he's really never served. I don't care if he's not done much in his life, if he hasn't had a bunch of jobs. I don't care where he stands on Israel and Jews. I don't care that he's a socialist. I don't care that he's outside the typical Republican Democratic paradigm here. I want that because I'm pissed off, and I'm pissed off at the establishment. Last night, 10 years later, the Democratic Party finally, in New York City, finally told the world, or told America, told the rest of the Democrats in America that they understand, finally, this populist moment we're in. You may not, Mamdani's politics, and let's be clear, he's an avowed socialist. Let's be clear. He's got no problem with the phrase globalize the intifada. I could go on. That's not my point here. He is a genuine, committed man of the far left. I don't question his intentions. I think he wants in his mind, right? Like we all do in our own minds, he wants what's, the very best for the citizens of New York. My point here is the Democratic Party establishment finally rightly got punched last night. and Democrats in New York City said, we're pissed. And by the way, we're pissed at you, Democratic Party establishment, as well. And he won going away. Now, it helped that Mamdani ran against a corrupt, scandal-ridden, sexual harassing establishment version of Hillary Clinton. It helped that Mamdani ran against Andrew Cuomo, who's just a corrupt establishment hack. It helped because a lot of Democratic voters had nowhere else to go. And this guy caught fire, this Mamdani. He connected with people. He ran an unorthodox campaign. He was out there all the time. He was talking to everybody. Every day, man, he'd fire off 7, 8, 9, 10 videos, most of which all went viral. He campaigned his ass off. And again, New Yorkers pissed off about rent, pissed off about the price of groceries, pissed off about the price of healthcare. He offered solutions, government-run grocery stores, rent control. Again, I'm not debating his solutions right now. What he did was this populist, Mamdani, this populist on the left, he said, I hear your anger and here's some solutions. He ran against the establishment. He ran authentically. He's a socialist. He's no friend of Israel's. Fine. This is who I am. And Democratic establishment leaders around the country, and I say this as a guy who's only been a Democrat for a month, you better pull your heads out of your ass, Democratic establishment. You better get your shit together and begin backing, nominating, supporting candidates who recognize this populist moment we're in, backing, supporting, getting behind candidates who voters, I don't know, actually want. Nobody wanted Chris Cuomo. If I lived in New York City as a Democrat, and I'm a Democrat now for a month, I wouldn't have voted for Cuomo or Mamdani. But Cuomo sucks. He's everything that's wrong with our politics. Not only is he an establishment figure, hack, he's corrupt. My God, 12 women have accused him of sexual harassment. He's bad. He's a jerk. Two takeaways. And that's my biggest takeaway, is that this should be a wake-up call to the Democratic Party establishment. By the way, Republican Party establishment, you've got yourselves married. The Republican Party establishment is MAGA. MAGA is the GOP establishment. So you guys, you're in bed together. You're one and the same. What happened in New York City last night should be a wake-up call to the Democratic Party establishment. Listen to your fucking voters. Listen to your voters. Listen to your base. What happened in New York City last night is so reminiscent of where I come from politically, the Tea Party. And without getting into the substance of the Tea Party, the policies of the Tea Party, we'll do that one day. Get into what the Tea Party was in relation to the Republican Party. The Tea Party was a movement of Republican Party base voters who were angry and pissed off and fed up at their party establishment, who they rightly believed was ignoring them. The Tea Party was the base of the Republican Party. And the Republican Party establishment had ignored that base for years. That's what gave birth to the Tea Party movement. I was there at the birth of the Tea Party movement. The Tea Party movement was impassioned. We considered ourselves to be the conscience of the Republican Party. We were impassioned. We were pissed off. We were angry. We were fed up about a number of things in my mind. And again, the book will be written. The debt, the size of government, we're bankrupting future generations, the border, and you name it. And the party establishment just ignored their base, election after election after election. And finally, the base rose up. The Tea Party was born. And the rest is history. And oh, by the way, the Tea Party eventually became MAGA, and that's when I left. The Democrats are going through the same damn thing right now. The base of their party, primarily on the left, is pissed off, angry, really fed up, and rightly believing that the Democratic Party establishment has ignored them for years. Hillary, then Biden, and then sticking with Biden. The Democratic Party base feels ignored. This is like their Tea Party movement. I say this as a new Democrat. I'm not a leftist. I'm what you would call a center-right conservative Democrat. And by the way, the Democratic Party's got to be a big enough tent. If we want to defend democracy and the rule of law, I am a very pro-Israel Democrat, right? Zoran Mamdani, who will be the next mayor of New York City, he's an anti-Israel Democrat. Well, you know what? The tent, the Democratic Party tent, if we want to stay together and be big enough to save and preserve democracy and the rule of law, we got to be big enough to have pro-Israel Democrats and anti-Israel Democrats. But that's what happened last night. The base of the party stood up and said, fuck it, hear us. They've felt ignored. And the conscience of the party, just like the conscience of the Republican Party back in the pre-MAGA days was Tea Party, the conscience of the Democratic Party is more leftist than right there in the center middle. I acknowledge that. And what happens all the time politically is, and both parties traditionally did this, you kind of make nice, and every now and then you wave at your bases, right? You wave and say, hi, we hear you. We hear you. Republicans have done it. Democrats have done it. And then when the election comes around and you got to win an election, you basically ignore your bases and you go get everybody else in the middle. You run to the middle, right? Right. That's always been the rule book for how to become a president, right? Be the most right you can be in the primary. Once you win the primary, run to the middle. Be as left as you can be in the primary. Once you win the primary, move to the middle. The Democratic base is saying, stop that. Hear us. Stick with us. Stay with us. Hear our concerns. This is a Tea Party moment for the Democratic Party. They're having their Tea Party moment. That election last night, to a lot of people was, an earthquake, a political earthquake. A 33-year-old guy who 4 or 5 months ago, nobody knew, 33 years old, never really held a job. He's an avowed socialist. He's anti-Israel in the city in the world with the biggest Jewish population. And in 4 or 5 months, he came out of nowhere and won by a lot. Man, that's a political earthquake on paper. Wasn't a political earthquake to me, and I'm sure to others, because I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for Democrats to recognize this populist moment that we're still in. And I think now they do. And I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if it'll be populist lefties against, the populist MAGA on the far right. I don't know. All I know is if you want to get elected these days, because now, man, the lid's off the Democratic Party. It's been this way in the Republican Party for the last 10 years. You can't be an establishment twit and even try to get a nomination or get elected. You got to be a Trump populist to get elected in the Republican Party. I don't know what this portends for the Democratic Party. I just know now that if you are going to run as a Democratic Party establishment person, you're fucking done. You got no shot, because now the game's up. The lid is off. What happened in New York City woke up Democrats all over the country. And I think you're going to see, and I may be part of it, the populist fight, people more in the center, populists more in the center, engaging with populists on the left. The Democratic Party is going to go through this thing. We'll see how it shakes out. The Tea Party, no matter what you thought of it substance-wise, it was a populist movement. That's now finally happening. The Democratic Party now has the beginnings of their Tea Party. Their populist movement has been activated. The Democratic Party, with the election of this 33-year-old anti-Israel socialist, who wants government-run grocery stores in New York City. He just won by a lot. So the Democrats, we can now officially say, recognize this populist moment that we're in. One other quick topic. Keith, you got that headline on Trump and the intelligence. This came out TikTok yesterday after the show. And look, here's the deal. It's just really simple. So the Defense Department's intelligence agency, it came out yesterday that our bombing over the weekend of Iran's nuclear facilities only set Iran's nuclear plans back by a few months. All those 30,000 pound bombs that we dropped on those nuclear facilities, all of that, we bombed another country, and per our intelligence, per our Defense Department's intelligence, we did not come close to completely destroying Iran's nukes. In fact, all we did was set Iran back by a few months. That was backed up, by the way, by Israel's intelligence. The reporting from the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, everybody has confirmed the same. Understand, this is the Defense Department's intelligence report. There are 16 other federal government intelligence entities that will also examine the BDA, the battle damage assessment. But the guy who stood up, the idiot in the White House, who stood up the night of the attack, Saturday night, and said, we completely obliterated their nuke program, he was lying to you again. And by the way, if you still don't think Trump was lying Saturday night when he said totally obliterated, if you don't believe Trump was lying, if you don't buy what this intelligence report came out with yesterday, which also this intelligence reporting yesterday said that Iran did in fact have enough time to truck their uranium enrichment out of there to other facilities. But if you don't believe our own Defense Department's intelligence report, then just know this. Saturday night, when Donald Trump said to you, we just totally obliterated Iran's nuke program, it was impossible then for him to know that. He could not have known that. He said that before any battle damage assessment had even begun. He said that before any battle damage assessment had been done. It would have been impossible Saturday night for Donald Trump to know whether we totally obliterated Iran's nuke program. Look, and Trump's still saying it, and Trump will continue to lie to you. And I'm going to imagine that, again, unless Trump can, somehow they get their hands on these other 16 intelligence entities that will put out reports, generally going to confirm the same, that Trump lied, Trump exaggerated. JD Vance, who even last night said we totally destroyed Iran's nukes, JD Vance lied last night. This is why this is so scary. We are dealing with, it's scary enough that we're bombing another country. It's scary enough that, and I say this as someone who's very pro-Israel, who said, no way, no how can Iran ever have a nuke. But this madman who could easily just walk us into World War III. All of that is scary and dangerous enough on its own. But do you understand what we're dealing with right now? The greatest liar in American history sits in the White House right now. The greatest spreader of disinformation in world history sits in the White House right now. What a scary position to be in. At war, bombing countries, defending Israel, no matter what, no matter where you stand on any of this shit. And the guy in the most powerful position in the world is the biggest liar we've ever had. I don't care where you are politically. If that doesn't scare the fuck out of you, if you can't just say righteously, my God, that's wrong, then respectfully, there's something really, really wrong with you. The whole thing smells like when we look at what happened. Trump didn't want to bomb 2 weeks ago. Trump wanted nothing to do with Israel's launching of the war against Iran. Then when Trump saw how well Israel's war was going, Trump right away rushed to the front of the line because he wanted to take credit. And then Trump watched a lot of Fox News. And because Trump watched a lot of Fox News, he became really enamored with dropping these big bombs. So Fox News, kind of him watching Fox News encouraged him to bomb Iran. And then he comes out immediately after our military did their great job. No matter where you stand on this, our military performed superbly and bravely. But Trump comes out that night and says, done, we did it. Israel's got no more nukes and they never will again. And Trump said that. Trump said there will never, Trump that day, the next day, Sunday, said there will never be any more shooting between Iran and Israel. We just did it. Like Trump says that. We just saved the day. Iran will never have nukes again. And then immediately Trump says, ceasefire, peace. Look at this. Looky here. I've got a ceasefire and peace. The whole thing just seems to be one made up story. It all just, this is classic Trump. It's all one big lie. This is what he does. Everything to him is about marketing, is about selling bullshit. This has been Trump his whole life. Selling the Trump steaks and the Trump wine and the Trump University. It's all bullshit. It's all crap. His whole life, he's sold, marketed and sold bullshit and lies to profit for himself. And he's doing the same thing here, except now he's president of the United States and he's dropping bombs on another country. It's all just like him trying to sell one of his stupid products or businesses. We just saved the day. Totally obliterated. Iran, no more nukes. And then all of a sudden he yells, peace is here. I've just announced a ceasefire. We've got a ceasefire. Before either side agreed to a ceasefire, both sides were still shooting at each other. Again, it's just all presenting a big lie to everybody. I just saved the day. Peace is here in the Middle East. No more shooting. What a scary thing. What a very scary thing to have him in the White House again. I'll say it again. Probably the single greatest liar in human history. That's Donald Trump. Hey, my conversation this week with my young Democratic Black voting rights activist, Rotimi Adeoye, We'll continue that. I'll show you clips of that conversation again tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. We'll close out the week with that. Thank you, Keith. There's my Substack. Go to my Substack, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. Check it out there. All of the clips from the conversation with Rotimi, all of my other conversations, they're all up there. Find them in the archives. Go to my Substack, socialcontractwithjoewalsh.substack.com. Thank you all for listening. Hope you're having a good week. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.